Hey there, and welcome to the Property Wealth Podcast. We're really excited to dive into today's episode.
Absolutely, Sarah. Real estate investing can feel overwhelming, especially with so much information out there. But that's why we're here, right?
Exactly. And speaking of information, have you heard about the Best Books on Real Estate 2026 edition? It's got some incredible insights that could really help anyone looking to grow their property portfolio.
Oh, definitely. Books are such a great resource. They can provide perspectives from seasoned investors, strategies that have stood the test of time, and even some fresh ideas for new investors.
Right? And today, we're going to discuss not just the top books, but also some practical tips and tricks for navigating the real estate market. Things that anyone over 40 should consider when building long-term wealth.
Yeah, and we'll touch on topics like understanding market trends, how to evaluate properties effectively, and the importance of networking in real estate.
Plus, we'll share some personal stories that really illustrate how these principles can be applied in real life. It's all about making this journey relatable and achievable.
Exactly. Investing in real estate doesn't have to be intimidating. We want our listeners to feel empowered and informed as they take their next steps.
So whether you're just starting out or looking to refine your approach, there's something here for everyone. Let's jump right into our first point.
So, Sarah, when we talk about real estate investing, especially for folks over 40, it's really about understanding the bigger picture, right?
Absolutely. At this stage in life, people are often thinking about retirement timelines and how to secure their financial future.
Exactly. And with the current economic landscape, inflation is a huge concern. It's not just a buzzword anymore. It's something that affects our day-to-day lives and long-term plans.
For sure. I read somewhere that property can act as a hedge against inflation. So it's not just about making money, but preserving what you've worked so hard for.
Right. And that's why investing in real estate now can feel so vital. Let's say you're in your late 40s or early 50s. You might be looking at your retirement savings thinking, am I going to have enough?
Yeah, it's a common worry. I know a lot of people in that age group feel like they need to catch up, especially if they haven't been investing in real estate yet.
Exactly. I've talked to investors who were nervous about their retirement funds. One guy the first know, let's call him Mark. He was in his early 50s and had mostly relied on his 401k. When he realized how volatile the stock market could be, he decided to dive into property.
That's a big shift. How did that work out for him?
Well, initially, he felt overwhelmed, but he started small, purchasing a duplex. He figured he could live on one side and rent out the other, which helped cover his mortgage.
Smart move. So he turned his home into an investment.
Exactly. And what's really interesting is that over time, he not only built equity, but also created a steady stream of rental income. It provided him with peace of mind, especially as he approached retirement age.
I love that. It's so empowering to know you can create your own financial security.
Yes. And that's the emotional side of it, too. When you feel secure financially, it changes everything. You can enjoy life more, focus on your passions, and even spend more time with family.
Speaking of family, I think a lot of listeners are also thinking about wealth transfer to their kids or grandkids, right?
Exactly. Real estate can be a wonderful way to build generational wealth. If you've invested wisely, your property can appreciate over the years. Imagine passing that down to your children.
Yeah, that's a legacy. I know some families who have done that, turning their parents' homes into rental properties or vacation homes that they can all enjoy together.
That's a great point. And it's not just about the financial aspect. It's about creating memories and having something that brings the family together.
And with all these market shifts happening, you really want to be proactive. We're seeing how the landscape can change rapidly.
Right. One of the things I often tell my clients is to stay flexible. The market today is different from what it was 5 or 10 years ago. Interest rates are fluctuating, and the demand for rental properties is evolving.
So it's important to keep an eye on trends and adjust your strategy accordingly?
Definitely. For example, I had another client, let's call her Lisa. She invested in a suburban area that, a few years back, wasn't the hottest market. But then, as remote work became more common, that area started to attract families looking for more space.
Interesting. So she was ahead of the curve.
Exactly. And now, Her property has doubled in value, and she's enjoying significant rental income. It's a great reminder that timing and research can really pay off.
And I think that's what makes real estate such a practical investment. It requires a bit of homework, but once you do that, you can really reap the benefits.
Yes, and let's not forget about the emotional security that comes with it. Knowing you have a tangible asset that can grow in value while also providing a steady income can be incredibly reassuring.
It's like having a safety net. So for anyone listening who might be hesitant, what would you suggest they consider first?
I'd say start with your goals. Are you looking for cash flow, long-term appreciation, or maybe a mix of both? Understanding your personal objectives can guide your investment strategy.
And don't forget about the importance of location. I mean, that plays a huge role in property value and rental demand, right?
Absolutely. Researching neighborhoods and understanding local market trends can make a big difference. I always say, location, location, location isn't just a cliche. It's fundamental to real estate investing.
And it's a great way to protect against economic downturns, too. If you invest in a strong location, your property is more likely to hold its value.
Exactly. It's all about making informed decisions. And if you're over 40, now's the perfect time to think about how real estate can fit into your financial plans.
Right, and with the right knowledge and strategies, you can really build something that lasts.
Well said, Sarah. I think we've set the stage nicely for diving into those core strategies.
Yeah, let's get into the nitty-gritty and explore how listeners can start their real estate journey effectively.
So let's dive into some core strategies and rules of thumb that can really guide your real estate investing journey.
Yeah, I'd love to hear about those. Where do you think we should start?
A good place to begin is with the asterisk 1% rule, time. It's a simple way to evaluate whether a property is worth your time and money. Basically, the idea is that the monthly rent should be at least 1% of the purchase price.
Right. So if you buy a property for $200,000, you'd want to see it renting for at least $2,000 a month, correct?
Exactly. It's a quick, rough check to see if the property can generate enough cash flow to make it worth considering. Of course, you'll want to look deeper into the numbers, but it's a solid starting point.
That makes sense. What about the asterisk 50% rule times? I've heard that one floating around.
The 50% rule is another good one. It's a guideline for estimating your operating expenses. The idea is that about 50% of your rental income will go toward operating expenses, property management, maintenance, taxes, insurance, all that jazz.
So if you're making $2,000 a month in rent, you'd estimate about $1,000 for expenses?
Exactly. That leaves you with your net operating income, or NOI. So you take your income, subtract those estimated expenses, and that gives you a clearer picture of your profitability.
Got it. What comes next after those initial checks?
Then we can look at the asterisk COS asterisk, or capitalization rate. It's a way to evaluate the return on an investment property. You calculate it by dividing the NOI by the property's purchase price.
Okay, so if your property has an NOI of $12,000 and you bought it for $200,000, your cap rate would be?
Right. You do $12,000 divided by $200,000, which is 0.06 or 6%.
And what does that tell you?
A higher cap rate generally indicates a better return on investment, but it can also mean higher risk. So it's important to compare cap rates of similar properties in the same area.
That's really helpful. Are there other metrics you recommend looking at?
Definitely. Another useful tool is the asterisk cash-on-cash return. This one measures the cash income earned on the cash invested in a property. You calculate it by taking your annual pre-tax cash flow and dividing it by your total cash invested.
Can you give me an example?
Sure. Let's say your property generates $15,000 a year in cash flow, and you put down $50,000 as your initial investment. You do $15,000 divided by $50,000, which gives you a cash-on-cash return of 30%.
Wow, that's a solid return.
Right? But keep in mind that this metric doesn't account for appreciation or tax benefits, just the cash flow. It's just one piece of the puzzle.
So it's important to look at the whole picture, not just one number.
Exactly. Speaking of numbers, let's talk about deal evaluation checklists. Having a checklist can help you stay organized and ensure you're not missing any critical factors when analyzing a deal.
What should we include in that checklist?
Well, first, you want to assess the property's location. Look at things like schools, amenities, and future development plans. Then, check the property condition. How much work does it need?
Right. Then you'd look at the financials, like those metrics we talked about, right?
Yes. Also, consider your financing options. Are you looking at traditional mortgages, hard money loans, or even partnerships? Each has its pros and cons.
Can you elaborate on the financing options?
Sure. Traditional mortgages usually come with lower interest rates, but they require good credit and a down payment. Hard money loans offer quicker access to cash, but often at higher interest rates. Partnerships can also be a great way to share the burden, especially if you're new to investing.
And what about property types? Any tips there?
It's really about your goals and risk tolerance. Single-family homes are often easier to manage and finance, but multi-family properties can provide more cash flow. Then you have commercial properties, which can be lucrative but come with more complexity.
So it's really about finding what fits your strategy best, huh?
Exactly. And don't forget to research the market trends. Are property values rising or falling in your intended area?
That's really important. It seems like doing your homework is key in this game.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the numbers. You've got to understand the market dynamics too.
So with all these strategies and metrics, what are some common pitfalls to watch out for?
Great transition. One of the biggest pitfalls is underestimating costs. Many new investors forget about things like maintenance and vacancies.
That can really eat into your profits, can it?
Definitely. And then there's the issue of not having a solid exit strategy. You really need to know when to sell or how to pivot if the market shifts.
Those are solid points, Mike. I think having a clear plan can save a lot of headaches down the road.
Absolutely. And remember, investing is a long-term game. Patience and persistence are key.
Well, I'm excited to keep exploring these topics. There's so much valuable info for our listeners to digest.
So, one of the biggest pitfalls I see with new investors is over-leveraging. I mean, it's so tempting to think, oh, I can just borrow a bit more and I'll make a fortune. But then, when the market shifts, it can really put you in a tough spot.
Absolutely. I remember one investor we talked to. He bought a property with a really high loan-to-value ratio, thinking the market would keep climbing. When it dipped, he was underwater. It was stressful for him, right?
Right, and that pressure can lead to hasty decisions, like selling at a loss or scrambling to cover mortgage payments. It's vital to have a solid buffer, A good rule of thumb is to keep your loan-to-value ratio below 80%. That way, you have some breathing room.
That makes so much sense. So, what about bad tenants? It seems like a lot of people don't think about that until it's too late, huh?
For sure. I've seen it happen too many times. One investor I know, he didn't do thorough background checks. He ended up with tenants who were constantly late on rent, and they left the place in shambles when they moved out. It really hit his cash flow hard.
Yikes, that's tough. So what can someone do to avoid that?
Well, screening tenants is key. Checking credit scores, previous rental history, even calling their previous landlords for references. And being clear about expectations in the lease can make a big difference too.
Right. It's like setting the tone from the beginning. Speaking of cash flow, that's another area where people often stumble. They get so focused on potential appreciation that they ignore the actual cash flow.
Exactly. I had a client who bought a property in a trendy neighborhood thinking it would skyrocket in value, but the rent didn't cover the mortgage, taxes, and maintenance. She ended up having to dip into her savings every month just to keep it afloat.
That sounds stressful. So how can someone ensure their property is cash flow positive?
A good strategy is to calculate all your expenses before buying. Include things like property management fees, insurance, and maintenance costs. A rule of thumb is to aim for at least 1% of the purchase price in monthly rent. Or even better, keep an eye on local rental trends.
That's a great tip. Now, what about timing the market? I feel like that's a common trap too, right?
Oh, definitely. Many investors wait for the perfect time to buy, but the truth is, nobody can predict the market. I once knew someone who held off investing because they thought prices would drop, but they ended up missing out on years of appreciation.
So it's better to just get in the game, even if it's not at the perfect moment?
Exactly. Long-term investing is about holding and letting the market do its thing. Focus on finding a solid property that fits your strategy, rather than trying to time the peaks and valleys.
That's really encouraging. Now let's talk about hidden costs. Those can really catch people off guard, can't they?
Absolutely. I had an investor who bought a fixer-upper thinking it was going to be a great deal. But, once they started renovations, they found out the plumbing was a disaster, and it ended up costing them double what they planned.
Wow, that's a tough lesson. So what can investors do to spot those hidden costs early?
A thorough inspection is crucial. Hire a good inspector who can really dig into the bones of the property. And always budget for unexpected expenses. I usually recommend setting aside at least 10 to 15% of your renovation budget for surprises.
That's smart. It sounds like a lot of these pitfalls could be avoided with a bit of due diligence and planning.
Exactly. It's all about being prepared and informed. And, having a solid team of professionals can help you navigate these challenges. Real estate agents, inspectors, and even financial advisors can provide valuable insights.
That's a great point. So, are there any red flags that investors should be aware of when looking at properties?
Oh, definitely. If a property has been on the market for a long time, that can be a red flag. It might indicate underlying issues. Also, if the seller is reluctant to disclose information or seems overly eager to sell, that's worth investigating further.
That's so true. It's like, trust your gut, right?
Exactly. And remember, don't rush. Take your time to evaluate the property and the numbers. It's better to wait for the right opportunity than to jump into something that could cost you in the long run.
I love that advice. So if someone finds themselves in a situation where they've made a mistake, what should they do next?
Well, first, take a deep breath. Mistakes happen to everyone. Then assess the situation. If it's a tenant issue, consider mediation or finding new tenants. For financial strains, look at your budget and see where you can cut costs.
And if it's really out of control, maybe consider selling or partnering with someone more experienced, right?
Exactly. You don't have to go through it alone. There are always ways to recover and learn from your experiences. Every investor goes through ups and downs. It's part of the journey.
That's so reassuring to hear, Mike. It feels like the key is to keep learning and adapting, no matter what challenges come up.
Absolutely. Just stay focused on your long-term goals and don't let short-term setbacks derail your plans. There's always a way forward.
That's a perfect note to end on. Let's move on to the next steps for listeners who want to dive deeper into this world of real estate investing.
So let's dive into some immediate steps that our listeners can take right now to really kickstart the real estate journey.
Absolutely, Mike. I think the first thing is to get your hands on some solid resources. There are tons of great books out there. But for 2026, I'd definitely recommend checking out the book on rental property investing by Brandon Turner. It's a comprehensive guide that breaks everything down really well.
Yeah, that's a classic. And then there's Real Estate Investing for Dummies. It might sound a bit cliche, but it's actually a great starting point. It's really accessible and covers the basics.
Totally agree. And, while books are fantastic, podcasts are also a great way to learn on the go. Have you listened to Bigger Pockets podcast? They have some really inspiring stories and practical advice.
Oh, for sure. They've got an amazing range of topics. And speaking of podcasts, you might want to check out the Real Estate Guys radio show. They cover everything from market trends to investment strategies.
Great suggestions. Now let's talk about tools. If someone is looking to analyze properties, they really need to check out apps like the Bigger Pockets calculator. It's super user-friendly and can help you run the numbers on potential deals.
Yeah, and don't forget about Deal Check. It's another fantastic tool for analyzing multifamily properties. Plus, it has a lot of features for cash flow projections, which is crucial.
Right, and for rental analysis, Rentometer is a must. It gives you a quick look at rental rates in your area, which can be really helpful when setting your numbers.
Absolutely. And if you want to dig even deeper, local MLS access can be invaluable. You'll get real-time data on listings, which helps with understanding market trends.
Speaking of understanding the market, I think it's also important to develop a habit of analyzing deals regularly. Maybe start with one deal a week. just to get in the habit of evaluating properties.
That's a great idea. And while you're at it, why not join a local real estate meetup? Networking with others who are also interested in investing can provide support and even potential partnerships down the line.
Yes, connecting with others is so valuable. You can share experiences, ask questions, and learn from each other. It really helps to have that community support.
And, even if you're just starting out, don't hesitate to lean into your local resources. Many communities have real estate investment clubs or workshops that can provide hands-on learning opportunities.
Exactly, and it's all about starting where you are, right? Just take those small steps. Whether it's reading a book, attending a meetup, or using those apps, every bit counts.
Definitely. And don't forget to set some goals for yourself. Maybe aim to complete a certain number of property analyses each month, or read a specific number of books.
Yes, setting goals makes it tangible. And remember, progress is progress, no matter how small. Celebrate those wins.
So true. And as you build your knowledge and skills, consider keeping a journal or a spreadsheet to track your learning and insights. It can really help you see your growth over time.
That's a fantastic idea, Mike. Plus, it can be motivating to look back and see how far you've come.
Right? And as you gain more confidence, you might even start thinking about your first investment. Just remember to be patient with yourself. This is a journey, not a sprint.
Absolutely. And with these tools in your pocket, you're ready to move forward. So those are some practical first steps.
So as we wrap up, let's touch on some key takeaways from the Best Books on Real Estate 2026 edition.
Yeah, definitely. One big point that stood out to me was the importance of mindset. You know, how having a growth-oriented attitude can really set you up for success in real estate.
Absolutely. And then there was that emphasis on understanding market cycles, right? Knowing when to buy or sell can make a huge difference.
Right. And if you're not paying attention to those cycles, you could miss out on some great opportunities.
Exactly. And another takeaway was the value of networking. Connecting with other investors and professionals in the field can open up doors you didn't even know existed.
Oh, definitely. Relationships are key. And, of course, the importance of ongoing education. Real estate is always evolving, and keeping yourself informed is crucial.
For sure. And remember, building wealth through real estate isn't just about making quick profits. It's about playing the long game, investing wisely, being patient, and letting your assets grow over time.
Yeah, and it's never too late to start. So if you're over 40 and thinking about diving into real estate, don't hesitate.
We encourage you to take those first steps, learn as much as you can, and really commit to the process.
And if you found today's episode helpful, please like and subscribe. And don't forget to comment your biggest takeaway or any questions you might have.
Oh, and share this episode with someone you know who's also looking to invest in property. They might really appreciate the insights.
And next time, we'll be diving into the top real estate YouTube channels for investors, so you won't want to miss that.
Thanks for joining us today, everyone.
Yeah, we appreciate you being here. Take care and happy investing.
Bye for now.
Bye.